How to deal with difficult people. The universal challenge of human complexity. Welcome, champions of emotional intelligence, masters of human relations, and architects of personal peace. Before we embark onto this transformational journey that will forever change how you navigate the complex landscape of human interactions, I need you to take immediate action. If you are watching this because you are dealing with someone who is making your life difficult right now, that boss who seems to exist solely to make you miserable, that family member who knows exactly which buttons to push, that colleague who turns every meeting into a battlefield, or that neighbor who seems determined to disturb your peace, then hit that like button right now as a declaration that today you are taking back your power. Ring that notification bell because this channel is committed to equipping you with life-changing strategies that will transform not just how you deal with difficult people, but how you thrive despite them. Let me share with you a truth so universal, so undeniable, that it transcends culture, time, and circumstances. Every single person watching this video, every person who has ever lived, and every person who will ever live will encounter difficult people. That is the truth. It is undeniable. It is not a matter of if. It is a matter of when, how often, and how you will respond. Studies show that the average person will have approximately 80,000 interactions in their lifetime. And statistically, at least 15 to 20% of this will be with difficult people who challenge, frustrate, or downright you. That is 16,000 opportunities to either let these difficult people derail you, or to let them destroy your destiny, or to use them as catalyst for your growth. Here is what is absolutely fascinating and what most people never realize. Difficult people are not sent to destroy you. Yes, they are sent to develop you. They are not obstacles to your success, but they are opportunities for your evolution. Every difficult person in your life is a master class in patience, a PhD program in emotional intelligence, and a gymnasium for the character development. The very people who irritate you most are often your greatest teachers in disguise. And today, I am going to show you how to transform every difficult interaction from a stumbling block into a stepping stone. Steve Jobs was famously considered difficult to work with, yet those who learned how to navigate his complexity went on to create revolutionary products. Mother Teresa dealt with crises who questioned her methods and cynics when doubted her movies. Yet she transformed their negativity into fuel for her compassion. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison by difficult people who sought to break his spirit, yet he emerged not with bitterness but with strategies for reconciliation that would heal the nation. Abraham Lincoln, during the most decisive period in American history, was surrounded by difficult people, from hostile political moments to his own cabinet members who initially thought they were smarter than him. His Secretary of War, Edwin Stanton, once called him a long-armed ape and regularly undermined him. Yet Lincoln kept Stanton in his position because he was effective at his job. Lincoln understood something profound. You don't have to like difficult people to work with them effectively. And sometimes the most difficult people or the most difficult person can contribute the most to your mission if you know how to manage the relationship. When Lincoln was assassinated, it was Stanton who stood by his bedside and declared, "Now he belongs to the ages." The very man who had been so difficult because one of the Lincoln's greatest advocates is dead. The Bible is filled with examples of difficult people who had to deal with extremely difficult individuals. Joseph's brothers sold him into slavery out of jealousy. David had to deal with King Saul, who literally tried to kill him multiple times. Jesus had to navigate relationships with Judas, who would betray him, Peter, who would deny him, and Thomas, who would doubt him. The Apostle Paul had to deal with opponents who challenged his authority, questioned his creditors, and actively worked to undermine his ministry. Yet each of these figures not only survived their difficult people, they thrived because of the strength, wisdom, and strategies they developed in response to them. Think about this. If you could magically eliminate all difficult people from your life right now, you might have temporary peace, but you would also eliminate your greatest opportunities for growth. It is like a muscle that never faces resistance. It never grows stronger. The difficult people in your life are your resistance training for greatness. They are preparing you for levels of success that require extraordinary emotional intelligence, unshakable inner peace, and masterful communication skills. The question isn't whether you will encounter difficult people. The question is whether you will let them diminish you or develop you, whether they will make you bitter or better, whether they will be your excuse for mediocrity or your catalyst for mastery. Here are the 12 transformational strategies for mastering difficult relationships. Number 1, the mirror principle. That is understanding your triggers. The first and most powerful strategy for dealing with difficult people is what I call the mirror principle. And it is going to revolutionize not just how you see others, but how you understand yourself. Here is the profound truth that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. The people who trigger us most intensely are often reflecting something back to us about ourselves. They are mirrors showing us how our own unhealed wounds, our own insecurities, our own shadows. This doesn't mean you are like them. It means they are activating something within you that needs attention, healing, or development. Carl Jung, the pioneering psychologist, called this the shadow, the parts of ourselves we have rejected, denied, or hidden. He famously said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." When someone is arrogant, frustrates you, it might be because you have rejected your own vulnerability. When someone else's success triggers jealousy, it is revealing our own unfulfilled ambitions. The difficult people and the difficult passion isn't the problem. They are the messenger revealing where your work is. Oprah Winfrey has spoken extensively about this principle in her own journey. She recalls how certain guests on her show would trigger intense reaction in her, and she learned to ask herself, "What is this passion here to teach me about myself?" She tells the story of interviewing a woman who had made choices Oprah found difficult to understand. Instead of judging, Oprah looked inwards and realized the woman was triggering. She realized the woman was triggering her to realize her own fears about making wrong choices. This self-awareness transformed not just that interviews, but Oprah's entire approach to difficult conversations. She says, I have learned that every interaction is an opportunity to learn something about yourself if you are willing to look into the mirror. Warren Buffett applies this principle in business. When he encounters difficult business partners, or hostile shareholders, he first examines his own emotional response. He asked himself, what about this person's behavior is triggering me? And what does that reveal about my own fears or insecurities? This self-awareness has helped him maintain remarkable composure in high-stakes negotiation. He once said, the most important investment you can make is in yourself. Part of that investment is understanding your own triggers and reactions. In the Bible, we see this principle powerfully illustrated in David's relationship with King Saul. When Saul became increasingly paranoid and violent toward David, David had every right to retaliate. Twice, David had the opportunity to kill Saul, but refused. Why? Because David understood that Saul was a mirror showing him what he could become if he left power corrupt himself. If he let power corrupt himself. In 1 Samuel chapter 24 verse 6, David says to his men, the Lord forbid that I should do such a thing to my master. He still called him master, yet he was persecuting him. He said that the Lord forbid that I should do such a thing to my master, the Lord's anointed one. Therefore David saw in Saul's jealousy and paranoia a warning about the corrupting nature of power, and it helped him become a better king when his time came. Jesus taught his principle directly in Matthew chapter 7 verses 3 to 5. Why do you look at the speck or sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? This isn't just about hypocrisy. It is about recognition. Often we are most bothered by the specks in others than remind us of the planks in ourselves. The difficult passion is holding up a mirror, and instead of breaking the mirror, we need to look at the reflection and ask, what is this teaching me about myself? Number 2, the emotional alchemy strategy. That is transforming negativity energy or transforming negative energy. Let me share with you a strategy so powerful that it can literally transform the energy of any interaction. The emotional alchemy strategy. Just as ancient experimenters sought to transform lead into gold, you can transform the negative energy of difficult people into positive fuel for your own growth and success. This isn't about being fake or suppressing your emotions or suppressing your emotion. It is about consciously choosing to metabolize negativity into something useful, productive, and even powerful. Viktor Frankl, the Holocaust survivor and psychologist, demonstrated this principle in the most extreme circumstances imaginable. Surrounded by Nazi guards who represented the ultimate in difficult people, those who had the power of life and death and used it cruelly. Frank discovered what he called the last of human freedoms. He wrote, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances." He transformed the negative energy of his captors into a determination to find meaning, which later became his groundbreaking psychological approach called logotherapy. Michelle Obama mastered this strategy during her time as First Lady, when she faced unprecedented levels of criticism, racist attacks, and daily interactions with people determined to diminish her. Her famous phrase, "When they go slow, we go high," wasn't just a political slogan. It was an emotional alchemy strategy. She consciously chose to transform the negative energy directed at her into fuel for her initiatives, her writing, and her advocacy. She explained, "I had to learn to transmute the anger and fear I felt into something more productive. I couldn't control what people said about me, but I could control what I did with that energy." Look at this innovation. Another one is Muhammad Ali, was a master of emotional alchemy. When faced with racist opponents, hostile media, and a government that wanted to imprison him for his stance on Vietnam, he transformed their negative energy into poetic declarations, athletic excellence, and social change. He said, "I float like a butterfly, sting like a bee." But what people don't realize is that this wasn't just about boxing. It was about his approach to difficult people. He would float above their negativity and transform it into peace. Powerful action. When reporter Howard Cosell, known for being difficult, would challenge him, Ali would transform the confrontation into entertainment that elevated both of their careers. The biblical example of Joseph in Egypt perfectly illustrates emotional alchemy. His brothers sold him into captivity, the ultimate betrayal. Potiphar's wife falsely accused him, destroying his reputation. The cupbearer forgot him in prison, abandoning him when he needed help most. But Joseph transformed each negative experience into preparation for his purpose. When he finally faced his brothers again as the second most powerful man in Egypt, he said in Genesis chapter 50 verse 20, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." He had alchemized the years of negativity into wisdom, strategy, and ultimately salvation for entire nations. Number 3, strategic boundaries of architecture. That is building walls and bridges. Now, let me teach you one of the most critical skills for dealing with difficult people. Strategic boundaries or strategic boundary architecture. This is the art and science of knowing when to build walls to protect your peace and when to build bridges to enable connections. Most people either have no boundaries, allowing difficult people to trample all over their lives, or they have walls so high that they isolate themselves from any meaningful connection. The masters understand that boundaries aren't about keeping people out. They are about defining what you will allow in. Dr. Breen Brown, the renowned researcher on vulnerability and courage, he revolutionized our understanding about boundaries. She says, Daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves, even when we risk disappointing others. She shares how she had to learn to set boundaries with family members who were emotionally draining, colleagues who were disrespectful of her time, and even friends who weren't reciprocating emotional support. Her research shows that people with the strongest boundaries are actually the most compassionate people. They are not building resentment. They are protecting their ability to show up fully and show up again. Bill Gates demonstrates strategic boundary architecture in his approach to business and philanthropy. Despite being one of the world's richest people, he has been known for being incredibly protective of his time and energy. He schedules thin weeks where he completely isolates himself from everyone, including family, to read and think deeply. When dealing with difficult people who want his attention, money, or endorsement, he has clear systems and boundaries. He doesn't passionately respond to most questions, not because he is arrogant, but because he understands that without boundaries, he would be consumed by the demands of difficult people and unable to focus on his mission of solving global problems. Jesus Christ was the master of strategic boundaries, which surprises many people who think of him as always available and accommodating. But the Gospels show numerous examples of Jesus setting firm boundaries. In Mark chapter 1 verses 35 to 38, after healing many people, crowds were looking for him, but Jesus had gotten up early to pray alone. When his disciples found him and said, "Everyone was looking for him," he replied, "Let us go somewhere else." He set boundaries with his own family when they tried to control his ministry. He set boundaries with the Pharisees who constantly challenged him. He even set boundaries with his disciples, often withdrawing to pray alone. These boundaries didn't make him less loving. They enabled him to complete his mission. Maya Angelou had a powerful boundary practice that she shared publicly. She said, "If someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time." But she took it further. She would literally not allow negative talk in her home. If someone started gossiping or speaking negatively about others, she would ask them to leave. She said, "My home is a sanctuary, and negative words are like little bombs that leave residues." This wasn't harsh. It was protective of her creative energy and mental space. This boundary architecture allowed her to write productively and maintain her optimism despite facing tremendous difficulties throughout her life. Number 4 is empathy intelligence framework. That is understanding the pain behind the poison. Here is a transformational truth that will transform how you see difficult people. Hurt people hurt people. Yes, people who hurt others, people who are hurt, they hurt others. Behind every difficult person's behavior is a story of pain. They have gone through it themselves. So behind each difficult person you encounter, there is actually a story of pain, fear, or unmet needs. This doesn't excuse their behavior, however, but understanding it transforms your response from reaction to strategic action. You cannot change. You are not saying that their behavior is right, but if you understand their behavior well, it will transform how you respond and react to them. It will be very strategic. The empathy intelligence framework isn't about being a doormat. It is about being a detective, uncovering the real motivations behind difficult behavior so you can respond effectively rather than emotionally. Fred Rogers, known to millions as Mr. Rogers, built his entire approach to life on this principle. He said, "There is no passion in the whole world like you, and I like you just the way you are." But what people don't know is that he applied this especially to difficult people. When he received hate mail, he would often write back with kindness, trying to understand what pain had motivated the letter. He once said, "When I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, 'Look for the helpers.' As an adult, when I encounter difficult people, I try to look for their heart." Abraham Lincoln's treatment of his rivals demonstrated extraordinary empathy intelligence. When he became president, he appointed to his cabinet the very men who had opposed him, mocked him, and tried to defeat him. What historian Doris Kearns Goodwin called his team of rivals. He understood that Salmontes' arrogance came from his desperate need for validation. He recognized that Edwin Stanton's harassment came from his fear of failure. By understanding the pain behind their difficult behaviors, Lincoln was able to manage them effectively and harness their talents for the nation's benefit. The story of Saul's transformation to Paul shows the power of empathy. Empathy intelligence from both sides. Ananias was called to minister to Saul, the man who had been persecuting Christians. In Acts chapter 9, verses 13 to 14, Ananias protests, listing all the harm Saul has done. But God shows Ananias the pain Saul will endure for the gospel, helping him to see beyond the prosecutor to the passion. Therefore, when Ananias meets Saul, his first words are, "Brother Saul," showing empathy despite the difficulty. This empathy became the bridge for one of history's greatest transformation. Number 5, the response control system. Choosing reaction versus response. Let me share with you a system that will give you superhuman control over your interactions with difficult people. The response control system. This is based on the fundamental understanding that between stimulus and response, there is a space, and in that space lies your power to choose. Most people operate on autopilot, allowing difficult people to trigger automatic reactions. But the masters that have developed the ability to pause, they process and purposefully respond rather than react to them. Admiral James Stockdale, the highest ranking naval officer, held a poll in Vietnam, spent seven years dealing with the ultimate difficult people, torturers who tried to break him physically and psychologically. He developed what became known as the Stockdale paradox, maintaining unwavering faith that you will prevail while confronting the brutal facts of your reality. This created the response control system, where he would never react immediately to torture or manipulation. He would pause, no matter how brief, to choose his response. This system not only helped him survive, but enabled him to lead other prisoners and maintain their morale. Serena Williams has spoken about developing her response control system when dealing with unfair calls, hostile crowds, and biased media coverage. Early in her career, she would react emotionally, which often cost her matches and attracted criticism. She worked with sports psychologists to develop what she called her pause protocol. Her pause protocols, a specific breathing and visualization technique she uses between points, especially when dealing with difficult situations. This system has helped her maintain composure and win 23 Grand Slam titles, despite facing more scrutiny and criticism than perhaps any other athlete in her sport. In Daniel chapter 6, we see Daniel's response control system when he learns about the decree that forbids prayer to anyone but the king for 30 days. Daniel knew this law was specifically designed to trap him, the ultimate difficult person moved by his jealous colleagues. But notice his response. Now when Daniel learned that the decree had been published, he went home to his upstairs room where the windows opened towards Jerusalem. 3 times a day he got down on his knees and prayed, giving thanks to his God, just as he had done before. He didn't react with anger, fear, or rebellion. He responded with consistency, maintaining his routine while fully aware of the consequences. Number 6, the verbal Aikido method. That is redirecting negative force. Now I want to teach you a communication technique so powerful that it can completely transform confrontational interaction. The verbal Aikido. It is a method, just as Aikido material artists used the attacker's force against them. You can redirect the negative energy of difficult people's words into positive outcomes. This isn't about being passive or weak. It is about being strategically powerful, using the momentum of their negativity to create a movement towards resolution. Marshall Rosenberg, creator of nonviolent communication, demonstrated this principle throughout his career. He would enter the most hostile environments, war zones, prisons, racial conflict areas, and transform aggression through verbal Aikido. When someone would attack him verbally, instead of defending or counter-attacking, he would redirect by saying something like, "It sounds like you are really frustrated because you need to be heard." And repeated, and he also did in respect, "Is this right?" This unexpected redirection would often completely shift the energy of the interaction. Nelson Mandela was a master of verbal Aikido. When he emerged from prison, reporters expected him to express bitterness toward his captors. Instead, he redirected that energy by speaking Afrikaans to his former guards, thanking them in their own language. When political opponents attacked him, he would often redirect by finding something to praise about them first, then addressing the disagreement. This approach was so effective that many of his strongest opponents became his allies. Jesus demonstrated verbal aikido repeatedly when the Pharisees tried to trap him with the question about paying taxes to Caesar, bringing him a coin in Matthew chapter 22 verses 15 to 22. He redirected their attack brilliantly. Instead of taking a political position that would alienate one group to another, he asked whose image was on the coin, then said, "Give back to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's." He used their own prop and question to redirect the conversation to a higher principle, leaving them amazed and silenced. Number 7, the energy conversion principle. Not every battle needs fighting. You should be aware of this. Here is a liberating truth that will save you years of wasted energy. You don't have to attend every argument you are invited to. The energy conversation protocol is about developing the wisdom to know which battles are worth fighting and which difficult people deserve your energy. Some people are committed to misunderstanding you. Yes, and no amount of explanation will ever change that. Some conflicts are distractions from your purpose, and engaging in them only delays your destiny. Warren Buffett is famous for this principle of protecting your reputation for decades and not risking it for minutes. When faced with difficult people who attack Berkshire Hathaway or his investment decisions, he often simply doesn't respond. He says, "The best defense is a good offense, and the best offense is a great business." He conserves his energy for making investment decisions rather than defending them to critics who wouldn't even understand anyway. Boyance has mastered the energy conservation protocol. Despite constant scrutiny, criticism, and difficult people trying to create controversy, she rarely responds directly. Her approach is to let her work speak for itself. When she was accused of sleep syncing at President Obama's inauguration, instead of engaging in a defensive battle, she simply opened her next press conference by singing the national anthem live, then asked, "Any questions?" She conserved her energy for performance and not defense. King David demonstrated this when Shimei cast him while he was fleeing from Absalom in 2 Samuel chapter 16. His mighty men wanted to kill Shimei for his disrespect, but David said, "Leave him alone. Let him curse, for the Lord has told him to." David understood that fighting Shimei would waste energy he needed for the real battle ahead. Sometimes the most powerful response to a difficult passion is no response at all. Number 8, the perspective telescope, that is zooming out for clarity. Let me introduce you to a mental tool that will instantly reduce the power of difficult people and the power they have over you. The perspective telescope. This involves zooming out from the immediate irritation to see the bigger picture. Will this difficult interaction matter in 5 years, 5 months, 5 days? Most of the time, what seems monumentally important in the moment becomes trivial when viewed through the telescope of time. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, was surrounded by difficult people, senators plotting against him, generals questioning his decisions, and enemies attacking his borders. He developed a practice he called the view from above, mentally zooming out to see his problems from a cosmic perspective. In his meditations, he wrote, "Watch the stars in their courses as though you were accompanying them, and continually dwell on the changes of elements into one another." This perspective made the difficult people in his court seem less significant. Steve Jobs used the perspective telescope after being fired from Apple, the company he founded himself. He said, "I didn't see it then, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to me." He zoomed out from the immediate pain and humiliation to see the bigger picture. That this difficult situation freed him to be creative again, more creative actually, leading to Pixar and his eventual triumphant return to Apple. In Genesis chapter 45, when Joseph reveals himself to his brothers who sold him into slavery and captivity, he demonstrates the ultimate perspective telescope. He says, "Do not be distressed, and do not be angry with yourself for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead. It was for saving lives that God sent me ahead here." He zoomed out from personal hurt to see divine purpose, from individual injustice to see collective salvation. Number 9, the influence without authority strategy. That is leading difficult people. Here is a revolutionary approach that will transform your effectiveness with difficult people. The influence without authority strategy. You don't need positional power to influence difficult people. You need psychological insight and strategic approach. This strategy involves understanding what motivates difficult people and aligning your requests or aligning your systems with their self-interests, values, and desires. Dale Carnegie, author of How to Win Friends and Influence People, built his entire philosophy on this principle. He taught that the only way to get anyone to do something is to make them want to do it. When dealing with difficult people, instead of demanding or commanding, he would find out what they wanted and show them how cooperating would help them get it. This principle talk in terms of the other person's interests. Mahatma Gandhi influenced the entire British Empire without any formal authority. When dealing with difficult British officials who opposed the Indian independence, he didn't attack them directly. Instead, he appealed to their stated values of democracy and justice, making it increasingly difficult for them to justify colonial rule without appearing hypocritical. His violent resistance influenced difficult people by forcing them to confront the contradiction between their actions and their proposed values. In the book of Esther, we see Esther influencing King Xerxes, who could be impulsive and dangerous. He had already banished one queen for refusing to appear before him. Esther didn't have authority over the king, no. But she had influence. She prepared banquets, created the right atmosphere, and timed her request perfectly. She understood that influence without authority requires patience, strategy, and wisdom. Number 10, documentation and pattern recognition system. Let me share with you a practical strategy that is essential when dealing with consistently difficult people, especially in professional settings. the documentation and pattern recognition system. This involves keeping detailed record of interactions, not from a place of malice, but from a place of wisdom and self-protection. When you document patterns of behavior, you are better equipped to predict, prepare for, and respond to difficult people's action. Ray Dalio, founder of Bridgewater, he's an associate and author of Principles, has built his entire management philosophy on radical transparency and documentation. Every meeting at Bridgewater is recorded. Every interaction is rated, and patterns are analyzed. When dealing with difficult people, this system removes emotion and focuses on facts. Dalio says, pain plus reflection equals to progress. Documentation enables the reflection that turns difficult interactions into learning experiences. Taylor Swift has become famous for documenting everything, especially after difficult business dealings where she lost the right to her master recordings. She now keeps meticulous records of all professional interactions, which has protected her in disputes and enabled her to re-record her album. Her documentation system turned a difficult situation with former business partners into an opportunity to reclaim her art. Nehemiah's approach to rebuilding Jerusalem's wall shows the biblical documentation strategy. When facing opposition from Sanballat and Tobiah, who were classic difficult people, using mockery, threat, and political manipulation, Nehemiah documented everything. He recorded their words, their tactics, and their patterns. In Nehemiah chapter 6, verse 19, he notes, moreover, they kept reporting to me his good deeds and then telling him what I said. This documentation helped him recognize patterns and respond strategically. Number 11, the difficult person has a teacher framework. Consider that. This framework will revolutionize how you view every challenging interaction. The difficult person as teacher framework. Every difficult person in your life is teaching you something essential for your growth. They are unintentionally preparing you for your next level of success by forcing you to develop skills, patience, and strategies you would need to develop and you would not develop without them. Kobe Bryant viewed every difficult opponent as a teacher. He would study game footage fantastically, not to find faults, but to find lessons. When Raja Bell clotheslined him, when Bruce Bowen tried to injure him, when entire teams focused on stopping him, he viewed each as a master class in resilience and adaptation. He said, everything negative, pressure, challenge is all an opportunity for me to rise. Oprah Winfrey has spoken about how her abusive childhood, filled with difficult people who should have protected her but didn't, became her greatest teachers. They taught her empathy for others who suffer, strength to overcome, and the importance of creating safe spaces for healing. She says, turn your wounds into wisdom. Every difficult passion contributed to the wisdom that would make her one of the most influential people in the world. David's relationship with King Saul was the ultimate difficult passion as teacher scenario. Saul's jealousy, taught David about the dangers of insecurity in leadership. Saul's attempts to kill him taught David to trust God rather than circumstances. Saul's instability taught David to the importance of emotional regulation. When David became king, he was better because of what Saul had unintentionally taught him through difficulty. Number 12, last but not least, stick with me. The grace and growth mindset, becoming bigger than the problem. The final and perhaps most powerful strategy is the grace and the growth mindset. The decision to extend grace to difficult people while using every interaction as an opportunity for your own growth. This doesn't mean accepting abuse or tolerating the intolerable. It means choosing to grow larger than the problem, to become so developed, so mature, so evolved that difficult people simply cannot affect your peace, purpose, or progress. Nelson Mandela emphasized this man's mindset. After 27 years in prison, after 27 years of imprisonment by difficult people, he chose grace and growth over grievance and grudges. He invited his former prison guards to his presidential inauguration. He had tea with the widow of the architect of apartheid. He chose to grow bigger than the enormous problem of racial division. This grace didn't make him weak. It made him legendary. Jesus Christ demonstrated the ultimate grace and growth mindset. While being crucified, the most extreme difficult passion scenario imaginable, he prayed, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." This is recorded in Luke chapter 23, verse 34. This wasn't weakness. It was the ultimate strength. He had grown so far beyond the problem that even execution wouldn't diminish his capacity for grace. Therefore, here is the mastery of human dynamics. As we reach this crucial juncture in our transformational journey, let me crystallize the profound wisdom we have explored into actionable truth that will forever change your approach to difficult people. We have traveled through 12 transformational strategies, examined the lives of world changers and spiritual giants, and discovered that difficult people are not obstacles to your success. They are the resistance that builds your strength. That sandpaper that smooths your rough edges, and the fire that refines your gold. We have also learned that the mirror principles reveals that difficult people often trigger us because they are reflecting something we need to examine within ourselves. When we understand our triggers, we gain power over our responses. We have discovered that emotional alchemy allows us to transform negative energy into fuel for our growth, turning poison into medicine, obstacles into opportunities. Through strategic boundary architecture, we have understood that boundaries aren't walls that isolate us, but bridges that define healthy connections. The empathy intelligence framework has shown us that behind every difficult behavior is a story of pain, and understanding that story transforms our responses from reaction to strategic actions. The response control system has revealed the space between stimulus and response, where our power lies. The verbal Aikido method has equipped us to redirect negative force into positive outcomes. The energy conservation protocol has liberated us from feeling obligated to fight every battle we have been invited to. We have used the perspective of telecom to zoom out and see that most difficult interactions are temporary irritations in the grand scheme of our lives. The influence without authority strategy has shown us how to lead without position, to influence without control. The documentation and pattern recognition system has given us practical tools for professional protection and learning. The difficult passion as a teacher framework has revolutionized our perspective, showing us that every challenging passion is preparing us for our next level. And finally, the grace and growth mindset has challenged us to become bigger than any problem, to grow beyond any difficult passion's ability to disturb our peace. Remember, every master was once a disaster. Every expert was once an amateur. Every passion who now handles difficult people with grace once reacted with frustration. The difference between where you are and where you want to be is not time. It is implementation of this strategy. The difficult people in your life right now are not punishments. They are opportunities, disguised as irritation. Teachers disguised as tormentors. Blessings disguised as burdens. Now we have reached the moment where knowledge must become action, where inspiration must become implementation, where possibility must become practice, where possibilities must become practice. This is not the time for passive consumption. This is the time for active transformation. If this message has opened your eyes to see new responsibilities, if you feel empowered to face the difficult people in your life with new strategies and renewed confidence, then prove it right now. First action, smash that like button with the force of someone breaking through the chains of frustration. Your like isn't just digital approval. It is a declaration that you refuse to let difficult people control your emotions any longer. Every like helps this message reach someone who is suffering in silence, someone who thinks they are alone in dealing with the impossible people. Your like could be the lifeline that saves someone's sanity. Second, comment below with your biggest insight from this message and the initials of the difficult passion you are committed to handle differently starting today. Don't use their full name. We are not here to shame anyone, but make a public declaration of your intention to apply this strategy. Try something like JSO is about to become my greatest teacher, or using verbal aikido with MT starting now. Your comment will inspire others and create accountability for yourself. Third action, share this video with at least 3 people who you know are struggling with difficult relationship. We all know someone whose boss is making their life miserable, whose family member is creating constant drama, whose ex is making co-parenting a nightmare. Send them this video with a personal message saying, "This changed my perspective. Thought it might help you too." Don't wait. Share it now while the inspiration is hot. Fourth action, subscribe to this channel and ring that notification bell like you are sounding an alarm for transformation. This isn't just another self-help channel. This is your weekly dose of practical strategies for extraordinary living. Every week, we deliver content that doesn't just motivate, but educates, doesn't just inspire, but equips. But you will only receive this transformation if you are subscribed with notifications on. Fifth action, take the 7-day difficult passion challenge. Day 1, identify your top 3 triggers using the mirror principle that we discussed. Number 2, practice emotional alchemy by transforming one negative action or one negative interaction. Day 3, set one clear boundary with a difficult passion. We have discussed this. You can revisit our discussion and see how you can do this. Day 4, use the empathy intelligence framework to understand someone's pain. Day 5, and apply passional aikido in a potentially confrontational conversation. And day 6, use the perspective telescope when frustrated. Lastly, day 7, extend grace to someone who doesn't deserve it. Document your experience and share your breakthroughs in the comments. Next week, the 6th action, create your difficult passion strategy card. Right now, grab a piece of paper and write down. Number 1, the name of your most challenging difficult passion. You can write it in your phone. Number 2, write which of the 12 strategies you will apply first. The 12 strategies that we have discussed, which one will you apply first? 3, what specific behavior you will exhibit differently. 4, what outcome you are committed to achieve. Note it down. And 5, when you will implement this, when are you going to implement this? Specify day and time. Take a photo of this card and keep it with you as a reminder. 7, action. Make a commitment to return to this channel next week. Set a reminder in your phone right now. Make growth a non-negotiable opportunity with yourself. The opportunity you are learning today are not just the beginning. Consistent input creates lasting impact or lasting change. Therefore, make a commitment to return to this channel anytime. Actually, next week may be far. Return to this channel. You will find much more information and strategies. Expand and make sure that this one reaches people who will want to hear or will want to benefit from it. So your destiny is beyond difficulty. As we conclude this transformational journey, I want you to understand something that will fundamentally shift your entire life paradigm. The difficult people in your life are not random accidents or cruel cosmic jokes. They are divine appointments with your destiny. Every person who has ever achieved greatness, every leader who has ever changed the world, every individual who has ever made a lasting impact had to master the art of leading with difficult people, because they are everywhere. The question isn't whether you will encounter them. You are going to. The question is whether you will let them define your own destiny, or you will let them define you or refine you. Imagine for a moment that you could press a button and eliminate every difficult passion from your life. Your annoying worker gone, your critical parent transformed, your demanding boss replaced, your negative neighbor removed away. It sounds like paradise, doesn't it? But here is what would actually happen. You would remain exactly who you are today. You wouldn't grow stronger. You wouldn't grow wiser. You wouldn't become more patient. You wouldn't become more strategic. You would be comfortable but unchanged, peaceful but unprepared for the level of success above that require advanced people skills. The difficult people in your life are your gym membership for greatness. Just as muscles only grow when they face resistance, your character only develops when it faces challenges. Your emotional intelligence only expands when it is tested. Your leadership ability only emerges when you have difficult people to lead. Your patience only deepens when it is tried. Your wisdom only crystallizes when it is applied to complex human dynamics. Therefore, consider what Nelson Mandela said. There is no passion to be found playing small in settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. The difficult people in your life are preventing you from playing small. They are forcing you to develop capacities you didn't know you had. They are pushing you towards the life you are truly capable of living. Think about this. Every difficult passion you successfully navigate makes you more valuable in the marketplace. Companies pay premium prices for leaders who can handle difficult clients, manage challenging teams, and navigate complex relationships. The very skills that difficult people force you to develop are the skills that will accelerate your career, enhance your relationships, and amplify your influence. In 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9, Paul shares how God told him, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. The difficult people in your life are revealing where you are weak, so that divine power can be made perfect in those areas. They are not obstacles to God's plan for your life. They are instruments of it. Remember, Marcus Aurelius found wisdom. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. The difficult people who seem to stand in your way are your way forward. They are the path to your evolution, the road to your development, the highway to your highest self. As you leave this message and return to your world, a world that undoubtedly contains difficult people, you are not turning as the same person who started watching this video. You are turning equipped with 12 transformational strategies. You are returning with examples of how the greatest humans in history dealt with their difficult people. If you have not recorded the 12 strategies, please go back, watch, and record them, and research more on them. You are returning with a new perspective that sees opportunity where you once saw obstacles. Teacher, where you once saw a tormentor, and growth where you once saw grievance. The difficult person who has been making your life miserable doesn't know it yet, but they are about to become your greatest teacher. The colleague who has been sabotaging your efforts doesn't realize they are about to become your training ground for executing leadership. The family member who pushes all your buttons doesn't understand they are about to become your master class in emotional intelligence. But here is the most important truth I can leave you with. Becoming masterful with difficult people isn't about them. It is about you. It is about who you become in the process. It is about the patience you develop, the wisdom you acquire, the strategies you master, like the 12 strategies that we have discussed today, the peace you maintain, the grace you extend. These qualities don't just help you deal with difficult people. They make you the kind of a person who achieves extraordinary things, who leads movements, who changes the world. You now have a choice. You can choose this video and go back to be frustrated by difficult people. Yes, you can close this video and then you go back to be frustrated by difficult people, letting them steal your peace and hijack your emotions. Or you can implement these strategies and transform every difficult interaction into a step forward or toward your destiny. You can remain a victim of difficult people, or you can become a victor through them. My friends, the world needs leaders who can navigate complexity with grace. It needs innovators who can work with difficult people to create breakthroughs, solutions. And the world is your family, is your community, is your workplace, is your political institution, is your cabinet, is anything that you are in. It needs healers who can extend empathy even to those who seem undeserving. It needs you to master these skills because your purpose is too important to be derailed by difficult people. So go forth with confidence. Face your difficult people with strategies instead of stress. Approach them with wisdom instead of worry. Engage them with purpose instead of pain. Transform them from obstacles into opportunities. Use them as weights to build your strength, and sandpaper to smooth your edges, as fire to refine your gold. Remember, diamonds are formed under pressure, pearls are formed through irritation, and champions are formed through challenges. The difficult people in your life aren't preventing your success. They are preparing you for it. They are not delaying your destiny. They are developing you for it. They are not obstacles to your purpose. They are the resistance required for your rise. Therefore, make the commitment right now that from this day forward, you will never again give a difficult person the power to determine your mood, derail your day, or diminish your destiny. You are bigger than any difficult passion, stronger than any challenge, wiser than any manipulation, and more powerful than any negativity directed your way. The time for being a victim of difficult people is over. The season of letting them control your emotions has ended, and the era of giving them power over your peace has expired today. This marks the beginning of your mastery. Today, you become unshakable. Yes, completely. Today, you become unstoppable. Today, you transform from someone who suffers from difficult people to someone who succeeds because of them. God bless you, champions of relationship mastery. Go out there and show those difficult people that they are not dealing with the same passion anymore. You have been equipped, empowered, and elevated. You've been trained, transformed, and triumphant. The difficult people in your life have no idea what is about to hit them. Strategic love, wisdom, and grace in capital letters. We will see you in the next video, where we will continue to equip you with practical strategies for extraordinary living. Until then, remember, difficult people are not punishment. They are your preparation, not your curse. They are your curriculum, not your problem. They are your opportunity to become the person you were always meant to be. Thank you.